Ed from Florida. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Hey, Bobby. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
My question to you is I'm the proud owner of an '09 Porsche Carrera C4S.
Wow. Congratulations.
And,
what color is it?
It's meteor gray, a black interior. It's a neat-looking car.
I'll bet.
Oh, I'm telling you. Listen, my question is, it has 1,000 miles, 1,100 miles on it now. I bought it with 35 miles, and there's a lot of discussion going about about draining the oil, the factory installed Mobil 1 at 1,000 miles to remove machining imperfections and then take it out from there. Do you have any recommendations with that? And just your take on the new DFI motor and the new PDK trans, if you have anything to say about that.
Well, the DFI, the trans that's the dual clutch transmission, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal unit. How many speeds is it? 6 or 7?
7.
Well, first things first, the transmission, because that's so important to get the engine power connected to the highway, to the road, to where the rubber meets the road. And all engines have sweet spots. And Ed, when I say a sweet spot, if you and I went out jogging, depending on how tall you were, and with both of us in good physical condition, our sweet spot, our whatever jogging rate or speed is going to be probably different.
Right.
So if we could run the same speed if we were on like a moving conveyor belt. And what I love to do is at the airport. I just returned from Philadelphia this week, by the way, with the Kimberly Clark folks. And if you're walking just regular walking speed on a conveyor, it's fun to look at the walls because you move by at a faster rate. We've all done that.
Oh, yeah.
An engine has a sweet spot, and that's the torque of that engine. If you can keep that engine in that sweet spot and yet increase the speed of the car, but still maintain the RPM of the sweet spot of the engine or the gait of the engine,
right?
Then that will produce, number one, better performance, better MPG, and lower emissions. And that's where the 7-speed transmission comes in. Lexus, as you know, has 8 speeds. And you say, well, how many, why so many speeds? It's, again, if you want to go faster, don't increase the speed of the engine, just shift to a taller gear.
Right, I hear you.
And that's why I love that transmission. I haven't driven one. You do have paddle shifters, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's the only way to go. I mean, the next car, and one of our cars is a Mini Cooper that's all, it's a $18,000 Mini Cooper that cost $30,000 by the time I got through with all of the, and you laugh, but it is a fabulous little automobile. It has paddle shifters, real paddle shifters. My smart car, it was a $15,800 at the end of the day with all options, and it has paddle shifters. However, you have to click the stick over to energize the paddle shifters, so it's work.
Yeah.
And so I don't. That part is the only part about the Smart that I don't care for. Getting back to changing oil. With my Viper, I changed the oil at 500 miles. I didn't know or think that was necessary, but I felt good about doing it.
Okay.
And so I can only, and this has nothing to do with what is right or what's printed, but I will tell you that baby of yours, that car is phenomenal. I would say to change the oil no later than 3,500 miles.
Right.
And you're already 1,000 miles into it. And what oil do you plan to use in it?
Well, I've used your Royal Purple in the past. The Cayenne that I had prior to this, I stuck with the Mobil 1, though, only to keep it as is written by Porsche. I don't know how correct or incorrect that is.
Well, it's correct, but it's not complete. When I say, as far as the car comes, Porsche uses Mobil 1 because they struck a deal on price.
Okay.
It meets the specifications of their engineers.
Right, okay.
And so in a blind taste test, it would whether it's Royal Purple or Mobil 1, if it meets the spec, that's fine. It's just now it's up to you as the owner as to what you would prefer.
I've used Royal Purple in the past, and I'm based on your recommendations,
Well, I would. Here's what I recommend. I think you should go another 1,000 miles to make sure that, number one, you have no engine problems whatsoever.
Right.
And that means oil leaks. That means MPG. It's within reason because you're playing with the car. So your miles per gallon of what you're getting now is not going to be ultimately your best, but maybe some of your worst, because hopefully you're exercising the engine. You know, the worst thing to do is to baby the new engine. Once you get it up to operating temperature, leg it out. That's good for an engine, not to hold top speed, but to accelerate on the on-ramp and the wide open throttle, because that indeed does push the rings out.
Right.
And that's what you want to do, to push the rings out against the cylinder. And the only way that happens is under wide open throttle.
Okay.
So don't be afraid to nail it. And besides, it's electronically governed. You literally can't over rev the engine if you tried. So I would, in fact, if you put it in neutral and depress the accelerator to the floor, it will probably go to 4,000 RPM, and that's as far as the ECU would allow.
Exactly.
And so anyway, I would go 2,000 miles, and then I would use the factory's feel of specifications with viscosity, and also look at Pep Boys, and Royal Purple has a new Royal Purple filter. Hey, thanks for your call. Very exciting question and car.